This is Maestro Minute, the show that discusses all things real estate, sharing interviews with the most successful people in the industry. Hear from their perspective and what they are doing to achieve success. Get exclusive tips on how you can also succeed in real estate. Maestro Minute is brought to you by Maestro Development. Here's your host, Nareg Muradian.
I always want to ask you, how did you know to get into the government relations side? What?
I've always been fascinated with, and that goes back to my time in Washington in the 1990s. Meetings on the Hill, working with staff, to get language into legislation, into bills and resolutions and amendments. So that's always fascinated me. And then after that, about roughly a 15-year interregnum where I worked strictly in the business community, in wireless electronics and also in software solutions. This opportunity availed itself, and I thought this would be great to get back into lobbying, into advocacy, and I enjoyed it very much.
What is it like when you're on the Hill? You're meeting with different folks, whether it's Congress. What are those meetings like? Is it pretty receptive? Are they pretty challenging? What is that experience like?
So when you prepare for meetings, you prepare your delegation, of course, with talking points, and certainly you got to have at least one ask when you go to each meeting. There has to be at least one ask, one thing that you want that member to look into and come through for you. It could be something long term. A bill that was recently introduced, or it could be something like more immediate. Whatever it is, you got to have the asks. It's always good also to prep staff in advance so they have an idea of the subjects you want to talk about, so that it's a productive meeting. And that goes, whether it's a meeting with the member, with the elected official, or with staff, or both. It's always good when you at least, let them know in advance, this is the agenda, this is why we're here, this is what we want to talk about.
Right. Are they pretty receptive to hearing your thoughts and ideas?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, when you're frank with them that these are the issues that we care about, that our constituency cares about, your constituency, you as an assembly member or a state senator, that your constituents care about, and some of them are part of our delegation, for example, we would pinpoint who could be a constituent of a certain member of Congress or a state senator or a state assembly member. That always goes well usually, because that's reinforced during the meeting. That member steps up and says, I'm so and so, I work with this company, and I live in your district, or my office is in your district, and in some cases, with NAIOP SoCal, our members who are part of our delegation, they've met with that elected official. There's a good chance they met with them before, so they may know each other on a first name basis, and that's always good.
I see.
But we do a lot of follow up as well after the meeting with staff to reinforce some of the points we made, and certainly the asks that we made. And in terms of Sacramento, we also, Sacramento and Washington, D.C., we have opportunities to do fly-ins every year.
What's a fly-in?
A fly-in is when your organization, and so for Washington, D.C., for example, our corporate headquarters, NAIOP's corporate headquarters, is in the D.C. area. It's in Northern Virginia. So they organize a fly-in so that all 54 chapters have an opportunity to fly in to Washington, D.C., partake in conference sessions, but also have meetings on Capitol Hill. And so we enjoy doing that as at NAIOP SoCal. It's an opportunity for our members to join us. We set up the meetings for our members on the Hill. We provide talking points to the members, and also we share leave behind material with staff and with the elected official, reinforcing what's important to NAIOP SoCal. What are the key issues? Whether it's infrastructure. California leads the way among all 50 states. when it comes to electrification, when it comes to building the infrastructure, for electric vehicles and fuel efficient vehicles.
Yeah.
But there's so much more that we need to do, we must do, because our benchmarks here in California are much, much higher, oftentimes, than even the EPA's own benchmarks, the federal government's own benchmarks. So we have committed to lead the way, but we need the federal government to really come through with robust funding to support infrastructure projects.
Yeah, you're really shaping legislation and influence, especially for the commercial market. When I was in Capitol Hill in 2008, and I remember we met with a congressman from Orange County, and I just enjoyed the energy and the dialogue that's up there. You always hear like drain the swamp or all this stuff and rhetoric, but like when I was there, it just seemed like there was a lot of great conversations and a lot of thinking and like doing the right thing for the country, right? Whether it's for a state or a local group or internationally. I mean, I love that experience, and you're doing that, I think, on a daily basis. That's pretty amazing.
Daily basis, certainly. For NAIOP SoCal, our focus is mainly on legislation that impacts Southern California, LA and Orange counties, certainly.
But you're specific to LA and Orange counties.
County. Yeah, okay. Our chapter focuses on those two counties. We also have sister chapters, 5 other sister chapters throughout the state of California, including in the Inland Empire, San Diego, and also 3 in Northern California. And we work closely with them as part of the NAIOP California Council. But there's legislation, for example, AB 1000, which you may be familiar with, which is the warehouse ban bill. This has been an ongoing bill in various iterations that's come up in the state legislature over the past 3 years now, at least 3 years, and we're heading into the 4th year.
That's a warehouse ban, banning warehouses.
So the language of the bill essentially prohibits the new development, and also the expansion of existing warehouses and logistics facilities that unless there's 1,000-foot mitigation, all right, 1,000 from sensitive receptors. That's really a huge mitigation. That what the member's offering. That is, and it's unacceptable to our industry. That would put a lot of existing businesses out of business, essentially, to require 1,000-foot mitigation, whether it's from the and what's not clearly defined is it from the edge of the lot, or is it from dock doors? That's also very important. Where the 1,000-foot starts.
But what's driving the ban?
So what's driving it are unscrupulous elected officials on the one hand, who are beholden to so-called environmental justice activists, who are not interested in any kind of compromise, any kind of meeting eye to eye with industry. And meeting eye to eye also with the building trades, for example, because building trades unions like LIUNA and the carpenters are not enthused about such mitigation propositions. And the original language of the warehouse ban bill, AB 1000, this was a statewide bill originally. The author, Assemblymember Reyes, from the Inland Empire, she has amended the bill, and this latest iteration of the bill, which came out in January of 2024, the latest iteration tried to focus more on the Inland Empire. That was part of her amendments, but at the end of the day, we fought it. NAIOP SoCal, we fought it through by mobilizing a grassroots campaign. We got our members, NAIOP SoCal members throughout Southern California, and we're grateful to, for example, our members who are brokers, commercial real estate brokers, because they have offices throughout the state, and they were able to amplify this and get their colleagues in other offices, Northern California, San Diego, Central Valley, to also use our action alert system, use our campaign, call and email the 9 key state legislators who were going to take up this matter in early January of 2024. It was the State Assembly's Local Government Committee. And the Local Government Committee, of course, it deals with local government issues. Yeah. And some of those members are former local officials as well. They know how local government operates. They know that local government likes to control things that are, handled locally, right? So many state legislatures who have a local government background, respect the fact that, local government authority is important over certain issues, including land use issues, including zoning and zoning ordinance amendments and potential changes. They know that that's more of a local government matter. The state should not interfere. And so when we argued, our point was this is overstepping the bounds of the state legislature. This local governments ought to decide, and local governments have. For example, in Fontana, a few years ago, there was basically an agreement to have 300-foot setbacks from sensitive receptors, 300-foot mitigation, and that the Fontana agreement is what we call good neighbor policies. It's what we call good industrial guidelines and good neighbor policies that
so you guys
is a win-win for the city.
Good compromise.
It's a compromise. Yeah. It's a win-win for the city, for industry. It's something that industry can live with, that commercial real estate developers can live with, that 300-foot setback from sensitive receptors. And also, in the Fontana case, the Attorney General.
Thanks for tuning in to the Maestro Minute podcast. Make sure to rate this podcast if you found it helpful, share it with a friend that could use it, and follow us on all major podcast platforms. The Maestro Minute, powered by Maestro Development.